I'm Craig, and here's the lovely Hilary. We are alive in the time of cholera, and tonight we're talking about the Sex and the City reboot, which is near and dear, especially to Hilary. I actually saw every Sex and the City episode, but I have not seen Sex and the City reboot. But Hilary's got an awful lot to say about it. And
I have a lot to say, and you're a man who will admit I've seen every Sex and the City at least 10 times, and I think that's an underestimate. I am the audience for Sex and the City. I've watched it. I've watched the movies countless times, can recite dialogue before they open their mouths. And from the Sex and the City reboot, just like that, I now realize that they hate me.
Who's they?
The Sex and the City makers.
And why do you
hate me, the audience? They're first of all, they're tortured me with this remake, and the whole way they went about it was, it's supposed to be like the celebration of 50 somethings. Instead, it became our women, these 50 somethings, now need to learn about the new world from 13-year-olds and 20 somethings who are literally high. That's what, maybe they thought they were doing something else. That's really what it was. There were so many problems with this thing. There were so many problems. I have all these notes written that I don't even know where to begin. One is that they want to diversify the show, which is great. Diversity is, of course, but they made it into a cast of thousands so that they actually sacrificed storytelling to teach us all a lesson. It was every lesson that we're not aware enough. We're not enlightened enough. We need to check ourselves. We need to become enlightened and cooler. And we really have not learned that much in our 30-something years, because there's a whole new world out there that we need to be retrained in. Okay, so so let's start with Miranda, with a character. All right, we know her as a lawyer. She decides in this, that she's a corporate lawyer. She no longer wants to be part of the problem. So she gives up corporate law and becomes, is going to do human rights law. Great. Now, I know from having watched every show at least 15 times that Miranda has been a partner in a New York law firm. I remember when she got her partnership. It was like the end of the 90s. It was like 1999. This is a 20-something partner. So what does she do in order to switch to human rights law?
She doesn't go back and get her LLM at, let's say a fancy, which lawyers do. They go to, a special master's program for other lawyers to change their specialty. If I want to
change their specialty, because they already have they're already seasoned lawyers, professionals.
So they'll go, they'll be trained with people who are similarly situated.
Right, and they're 50 somethings who have learned a lot and respect each other because that is what they earned. No. Miranda goes to an undergraduate course at Columbia,
right,
where she needs to be checked about if she's saying the proper things. It's like, and then in order to complete this transformation from having been a lawyer for so long to go into human rights law, then of course she's going to get an internship.
A paid internship?
I doubt most internships aren't paid. Maybe a stipend.
I don't think even that. If you run Human Rights Watch, they're terrible when it comes to human rights for their interns.
She's getting a Human Rights Watch internship, which itself is anti-rights. An internship is anti-rights. So the first target on the Human Rights Watch list should be themselves for doing these exploitive internships that, by the way, only people who are rich and privileged could take, such as person who does own a brownstone and practice corporate law
For 20 years.
for 20 years.
As a partner.
And I hate to say this, but like Cynthia Nixon, who I love,
Right.
it's all her fault. Because I read that she was like, I wanted you to do the show, but there are going to have to be some changes. And so, she brought on, it became like her political palette, this show. I mean, I, was thinking like, I'm so glad Cynthia Nixon isn't governor so she could do the Sex and the City reboot. And now I'm thinking, I wish she was governor so she didn't ruin the Sex and the City reboot.
Maybe she told you what she was going to do. You'd, volunteer to help her win.
I know, it's like, oh my God, if you elect me, I'm going to take the Sex and the City reboot and make it this overstated, ham-handed thing that's going to lecture all of you on how you need to do better. And I'm going to call you all basically Karens.
You're all Karens.
Like basically that, or I'm like, oh my God, how can I volunteer? I'll do anything to help you, like not do this to us. Not to torture us with this. They all may have been, oh my God, named. Yeah, oh my God, it made you insane. Now she's doing like Gilded Age, which is a show on HBO, which I'm really enjoying and she's great in. But now I'm afraid she's going to do the same thing. It's like she's going to like turn into one of the Astors, like as a make them, they, or like
they made Lady Astor non-binary.
Please don't please can we just stick to the show? Don't sacrifice storytelling and the what the essence of the show is to teach us lessons, to teach your legacy audience somehow you're not okay, whatever you've learned in the last 30 years is worthless and now you'll have to listen to rock Charlotte's gender nonconformist child.
And also, whatever happened to Steve? Did the relationship between Steve and Miranda kind of blossom?
No, but we have to address this internship thing. Okay. Because the whole absurdity of that internship, what would it be like?
It would be like
Meryl Streep,
wanting to volunteer, as a, unpaid intern for the Groundlings.
Right. She's like, let me go to more. I want to do more comedy. So what I'm going to do is go to NYU freshman acting.
Right.
And then I'm going to have an internship with the Groundlings. Haven't you been acting for, Sarah Jessica Parker did that. She wants to do slapstick.
Exactly.
I'm going to go and do acting 101. And then I'm going to intern with an improv group. You've been acting for 40 years. That's basically the equivalent of what's going on.
Exactly.
And oh my God. And then, we got to this part where, Charlotte was literally lectured about cultural appropriation.
By whom?
By her 15 and 13-year-old kids. And I think what they don't realize is when they're doing such things, where are the stand-ins for Charlotte, whatever? The much, 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 much less wealthy stand-ins for those characters. So when they're lecturing Charlotte about cultural appropriation, you are lecturing me. And this is why I am saying you at Sex and the City hate me. It's obvious you can't stand me. You just think I'm not aware. I don't understand my whiteness and privilege. And now it's up to you to teach me these lessons and to get me to do better. Meanwhile, I just wanted to watch Sex and the City. And there's not even any sex. I'm just being put into this. I'm basically being, what? Oh my God.
I think there was a little sex. You told me that, I think the 17-year-old son of one of them had sex.
The 17-year-old son got to have sex. No one else did. Oh yeah, and that the whole thing, we're supposed to believe also that Miranda's relationship with Steve was nothing. She was always dead inside. Not only do we have amnesia, not only have we watched the show, like 20 times episodes over again. The movies, it's still on the air on cable. Are you supposed to have us believe that was nothing, that he was like just bad in bed and they realized she was always dead inside? We know that's not true. It's almost like Cynthia, she just wanted to turn the show into herself and her life. She was almost like, you know what's interesting? Me.
It was not interesting, Sex of the City, or the audience who would watch it.
You know what's not interesting? Any of our legacy audience, those millions of people. You know, they kind of suck.
I did Karens. They
They're
suck.
just, why do we all call them all Karen? Because they were like, they don't get it. And they,
Probably never will.
oh my God. And then the wisdom of the children stuff. We need to listen to this. Was taken to some level. Now, Rock. Now, Charlotte's daughter Rose is non-binary. Great. I mean, she's 13. You know, there's actually, we're not supposed to really say this, but you know, you may be a lot of things until you're 20. You could explore that. That may change, whatever. Anyhow, she's very understanding. They learn to be understanding. They call her from Rose to Rock. They use the appropriate pronouns. They plan her bat mitzvah, which we were seeing, that must have cost at least $300,000. They did, and then they got a trans rabbi. All that they did, all they're going overboard, trying to learn, you know, because they're, you know, stupid 50-something-year-olds. So what do they know? And they needed to, so they did all that they needed to do. And what happens at the bar mitzvah? Rock says, I don't want to do this. In the first, like, as right before the ceremony begins, the service begins. And that's when I almost couldn't watch this, because are you fucking kidding me right now, Rock? You're not going, like, you've done, other parents have done all this stuff. They just, it's happening in 1 minute. They had to have spent nearly $500,000. And you're, because you don't believe in this. It was like Rock, meet Rock, Rock, beat Rock.
Beat Rock. Yeah, you want to beat Rock with a rock.
She needed to be, and like, I'm not even a mother. Can you imagine like the millions of your legacy watchers who actually raise kids? What they were thinking right then? This was like, you're listening to a 13-year-old. This was a whole problem with the show. You don't listen. That's a whole problem with everything. Is that like we've gone from like, well, we need to be more diverse and understanding to, and then it goes to some crazy, like, we're all going to lecture you and treat you like how horrible you are. And then we used to, you now listen to kids. Now it's like kids rule everything. And I think we're sick of it. I think I could speak from America and say that. Maybe even Canada.
Maybe Canada as
well. We can't take it. And Rock does not. Do you think my bar mitzvah, she was like, I don't believe in this. I don't believe it. For my bar mitzvah, I wanted to study. Do you think I wanted to do it? Do you think I was so glad to miss the last 10 minutes of General Hospital, the Luke and Laura wedding episode, because I had to go be with Cantor Garber? Do you think if I were had my choice, I would choose to have done that? Do you think I believe in the Old Testament God? No. But now at 50-something years, I look back, I'm so glad I did it. Because maybe there are things you value as you go on with your life that you don't know that you're going to value at 13, more than 10 years before your brain even fully develops. And that's why you did not listen to Rock.
Don't listen to Rock. And that's part of the whole problem, I think, with the show, from what you're saying, just to reiterate, really, is that it does completely devalue the kind of life experience you have as you get older and how you grow. These characters are basically, characters we've grown to love and characters that we do love. And basically, rather than evolve and get deeper, it's basically devaluing the last 30 years of what should have been their development and growth.
Right. Right. And because we're going to celebrate 50, you all that you really look at the message, it's the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite that like we have to now be retrained for the new world to the point that we are literally in an undergraduate class again.
And we're unpaid interns.
And we're unpaid interns.
You have to do we haven't paid you haven't paid your dues.
And right. We all need to listen to Rock and Che.
To listen to Rock. Oh, and Che. And
oh my God. There's more I could say about Bar Mitzvah, but maybe before I get even to Che. I mean, I was going nuts. I almost couldn't even watch a Bar Mitzvah episode because they decide, and this was all, it was, all right, what's his name? Whatever's Anthony, he was like doing the baking for the bot or they mitzvah. They called it the they mitzvah. That for the challah bread, he decides to make it sourdough. And like Harry's all upset. He's like, you're doing hipster, challah bread. What's for us, the old Jews? So now even challah bread isn't even cool enough because we have this new world there. And you know what? It wasn't even reflecting the new world accurately.
If you have French toast, challah bread rules.
You know what? If you really feel this way about challah bread, and it's just for old Jews, which was a quote, it's what is our old Jews going to like? So if you all feel that way, this is just for me, your Sex and the City legacy fans and old Jews. We're taking away. No more challah French toast. Fine. Make it sour bread. Since you want, that's apparently what you like. You know what? If we wanted sour bread, we would get sour bread, not challah. And you know what people really don't like? I mean, even in this new world, in the cool, young new world, you know what they really hate? Bait and switch challah bread. That looks like challah bread, but that's really sour.
It's like, this looks like challah bread. This funky, would you put like yogurt in it or something?
So not even everything is for the cool, hip new world, but it's not even reality of what the world is. People like challah bread.
They love challah bread.
Everyone, even if they're 20, if they haven't tried it, they like it. Oh my God. It was really this is for the, oh my God. Okay, so go on. Oh, Che, was that the next one?
Che was the next one.
Che was part of this cast of thousands that they had to bring on. And I just didn't know, I'm sorry, I could not stand Che. I just was like, who is this person taking over the show?
Right.
I don't know who this is. Che is, who is this narcissist taking over the show? And Che was a narcissist, even by performer standards. It was all wow, I'm going to say, now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to, there was a point Che went to Cleveland, and I swear, I don't know if other people, I had such a negative. Maybe because mostly, maybe I wouldn't care about Che, but this person was taking over my show. Who are you? That's why I really resented, and for other reasons too, I'll get to. Che was going on a plane to Cleveland, and I truly wished the plane did not land. I'm like, maybe the plane won't land. And not that Che died, but maybe it became then there was a spin-off show to one of those types of shows where the plane disappears, and then Che is on some island and leading a survivalist thing. Where is Che? Oh, they're hunting for small critters.
Or maybe Che is starting a new religion in some distant Polynesian island, perhaps.
But no, Che, the plane landed. Unfortunately. And and this is also what I started hating Che. Okay, Big died. And this is Carrie's boss. That's all that gives you another this is Carrie's boss. And Che is training Carrie. She's not doing well enough on the podcast because, once again, we need to all be bending.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Carrie was a writer, for, again, accomplished writer for, 40-year career. And somehow, she has to be, again, under the thumb and under the tutelage of a 20-something-year-old,
Right.
obviously.
Oh, exactly, exactly. And Carrie wasn't being like racy enough. It was also just so divorced from what the show was. Like Carrie was pretty racy.
Too racy.
Too racy, like, well, Carrie was all of a sudden too demure, which is like, we've seen the show. This is not jiving with any sort of reality. So Shay goes to the funeral for Big, which is good, that Shay showed up, although Shay should show up for the funeral. I mean, then this is when I really started hating Shay. They brought out a vape and got high, like right outside, like during the after funeral part, memorial service part. And I'm like, which is a totally inappropriate thing to do. I don't care if you're 20 something or you're cool or if you get podcaster pass. It's an obnoxious thing. It's a terrible thing to do. It's totally disrespectful. And if anyone thinks I'm an old fogey for saying that, you go and do that. Would you have some pause? Like it was just like no rules apply to Che. Che's a podcaster. Of course not. Che's a dick joke artist.
Right.
Or whatever Che is.
Che transcends normal categories of right, wrong.
Right, wrong. It was a horrible thing to do. And at that moment, not only was Che taking over the show and like being the boss of Carrie, who somehow had to now learn from the wise Che, but Che is behaving in a horribly obnoxious, disrespectful way, and we're supposed to somehow respect her. I don't think so.
Okay.
I wonder if they sacrificed storytelling for this stuff. They sacrificed storytelling. Cultural appropriation. I'm looking over my notes because I had so many of them that I was trying to. I think we got to a lot of the things. They hate me. You hate me. What? I mean, I was like, they hate me.
Well, they're telling their audience none of you are good enough, and the last 30 years of your life are pretty much worthless. Your experience, your wisdom, all that's useless. And
like they almost got it right at the end because Carrie was like this, with her person who lived under her, and then she realized she didn't feel cool enough. Carrie, the whole thing was about the women not feeling cool enough or good enough or right enough for this world. But then Carrie was giving her advice on relationships, and she realized she does have a certain wisdom. And so finally at the end they kind of happened upon this. I was thinking if they wanted to do a lot of this stuff, like I thought, maybe what would be a good idea? Okay, because they missed, Samantha was gone.
Yeah.
I kind of like that woman, the Mississippi Masala woman, who was sort of like Samantha, but she was Indian. I thought she was good. I mean, if they had, because she had a Samantha thing, but was different. Like if they just had her and maybe someone else, they would have been doing okay. But my idea was, because they always went to, brunch. What they should have done is have auditions. In the show, the characters have auditions for their fourth at brunch. And then even if they want to diversify, listen, look how white we are and we're not diverse. Even though, as you pointed out, they brought on diversity, but, not economic diversity. That we're not going to stand for.
Anyway, yeah. We don't see them go to Balthazar's. We don't see them go to Denny's.
Right. I mean, right. I mean, we're going to have diverse and 1% diverse.
Very diverse.
And so if they did that and then even started talking about listen, we need to like, and it's sort of like, as you said, an HR way. We need to diversify, and maybe we need to, expand our reach here with who we're going to bring in for the fourth person. And maybe it would have been good. I think it'd been kind of funny. And then they were in trouble because everyone finds out what they're really doing.
Yeah, that I think would have been hysterical. And then they could have actually become friends with one of them. That would have been organic and hilarious, and actually diversified the show in a fun way.
Right. And how, like,
proper way, instead of this, instead of like you said, a cast of thousands and with no continuity, with paper thin plots that really insult their legacy audience and basically say none of you are good enough.
None of you are good enough, like, do better. That was the whole thing. They should have had like a scroll going, do better, do better.
Do better. You're still not there. Keep trying. Oh, still not there.
Oh my God. Do you like, did I talk about my, I don't even remember my bat mitzvah and how I didn't want to study for it.
Yes, you did talk about that.
Oh my God.
You talked about the Luke and Laura, but the whole
I know, even though, like, that makes it sound like I'm actually studied for my bat mitzvah at age 11 because I had it with my sister. So I was only 12. So that story makes it seem like I'm a year and a half older than I really am. I just want to get that in. It makes it seem like I'm 53 3/4 when I'm really just 52. So let me make that clear.
You look much younger. But then again, I mean, you almost have the wisdom of a 13-year-old, if I might go so far. No, that's the me. And again, that's the thing too. It's really about this notion that, and we said this before. They're basically just insulting the audience, because it's not just do better. It's like it's telling us to do better by listening to kids, and it's completely ignoring all the accomplishments that people like you, people like them, all of us have had, and not just economic, but just actually getting to know oneself, actually getting to understand oneself. Look, we all get older, we all get a few wrinkles. At the very least, we do get a little bit of extra wisdom, and it's more than just, well, yeah, this is validated because I can give a 20-year-old advice about love lives. It's like we actually know a lot more about a lot of things than 12-year-olds and 20-year-olds. It's just true. But you wouldn't know that from Sex and the City. And it is an insult to their audience, an insult to everyone over 30. And again, to the extent that ageism and age should be an aspect of diversity, they fail big time. Maybe, and still both
their intention, but that ended up being the message. It really did.
Whether they wanted it to be or not, it sounds like that was the real message. You oldsters just aren't good enough, and listen to the young, keep your mouth shut, and
do better.
Do better. Karens. Listen to the inner 13-year-old child. By inner, I mean the one that's in your house and telling you what to do.
Freaking Rock. Rock needed that, like, hollow sourdough, like, have it, stuffed in her mouth and take it and hit her head. I'm not going. I don't believe in it.
Right. I don't believe it.
You Rock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that kind of almost, again, so from Sex in the City to No Sex, and you're all a bunch of old, useless Karens who just need to, which would have been, not such a great title. Sex in the City reboot, except
Sex and Pity.
Sex and the Pity. No sex, and it's a pity.
No sex and all pity.
All pity. All right. Well, I think I know you haven't gotten this all off your chest. There may have to be a follow-up, because I'm sure they're going to be, Hilary said a lot, but there's more that needs to be said on this subject, specifically, and probably related subjects. But we are alive in a time of cholera, Hilary and I, and so are you. And we'll see you later. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, we're out. So we're